What's in a name? For the Philippines, it's a 400-year-old story of colonialism, identity, and a Spanish king who never, ever set foot on the islands. We all know the country is called the Philippines. But have you ever really thought about that? Who is the Philip in the Philippines? And why is this entire vibrant, independent nation named after him? What if I told you the name Philippines was just one of many names, and that when it was first given, it didn't even apply to the whole country? It was just two islands. So how did that one name, a name given by a Spanish explorer to honor a Spanish prince, end up conquering all the other names? What was this place called before the Spanish arrived? What did the Chinese traders call it? What did Magellan call it? Get ready, because we are about to decode the origin story of the name Philippines. So, in our series so far, we've seen how the Philippines is a land of collision. A collision of tectonic plates, a collision of ancient migrations, a collision of languages, a collision of food, and a collision of gods and monsters. Well, the story of the country's name is the ultimate story of that collision. Let's get the main question out of the way. Who is the Philip in the Philippines? That guy is King Philip II of Spain. He was the king of Spain during its golden age, a guy who ruled one of the largest empires in world history. He was also, the guy who sent the Spanish Armada to try and invade England. But here's the first dopamine breadcrumb. When the name was given, he wasn't even king yet. He was still just the crown prince, Prince Philip of Asturias. And he didn't name it. The name was given in 1543 by a Spanish explorer named Ruy López de Villalobos. Villalobos was leading an expedition to try and establish a Spanish foothold in the region, which was a direct challenge to the Portuguese, who were also exploring the area. So Villalobos' expedition lands on the islands, and here is the aha moment. He did not name the whole country the Philippines. He only named the islands of Leyte and Samar, Las Islas Felipinas, the Philippine Islands, as in, these specific islands belong to our boy Philip. It was a political move, a way of planting a flag, claiming them for the future king. But wait a minute, if he only named Leyte and Samar, what did he call the other islands? This is where it gets even more interesting. He reached Mindanao first, and he named that island Caesarea Caroli. Why? In honor of the reigning emperor, Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, who was also King Carlos I of Spain. He even named a smaller island, Sarangani, Antonia, after the Viceroy of New Spain, Antonio de Mendoza, who had funded the trip. So let's recap. In 1543, we have Caesarea Caroli, Mindanao, Antonia, Sarangani, and Las Felipinas, Leyte and Samar. It's a total mess of different colonial names all being slabbed onto different islands by one expedition. This creates a huge question. If Villalobos failed and all these names were floating around, how did Las Felipinas, the name for just two islands, win out? And more importantly, what was this place called before any of these explorers showed up? We're about to dig up the lost names of the Philippines, and just like we're decoding history, our goal on this channel is to break down these huge complex topics and make them simple and fun. If you love that aha moment, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. It's a tiny click, but it genuinely lets us keep making these stories. Okay, ready? Let's find the originals. Okay, so what was the Philippines called before 1543? The simple answer? Nothing, because the Philippines as a single unified country did not exist. Just like we learned in Part 4, the pre-colonial Philippines was a collection of independent states. It was a diverse archipelago of kingdoms, rajanats, sultanates, and smaller communities called barangays. The Rajanat of Buton, the dynasty of Tondo, the Sultanate of Sulu, these were all their own independent states, trading with each other and sometimes fighting. So there was no one name for the whole thing. There were many names given by many people. Let's start with the first European explorer to arrive, Ferdinand Magellan in 1521. When Magellan landed on Homonhon Island, it just so happened to be March 16th, the feast day of Saint Lazarus. So, what did he call the entire archipelago? Las Islas de San Lázaro, Saint Lazarus Islands. That was the first European name for the Philippines, San Lázaro. But that's not all. Because they had reached the islands by sailing west from Spain, they also just called it Las Islas de Poniente, the islands to the west. And here's a great little twist. The Portuguese, who were their main rivals, were sailing east from Portugal around Africa. So what did they call the same islands? Ilhas do Oriente, the islands to the east. See, it's all a matter of perspective. But let's be real, Magellan and Villalobos were late to the party, centuries late. Traders from India had been coming for a long, long time. And in their ancient literature, they had a name for the region, Panyu Payana. But the most detailed records, they come from the Chinese. Chinese traders were in constant contact with the islands as early as the 9th century. And in their records, like the Zufan Ji from the 13th century, they call this area Ma'i. What was Ma'i? Historians debated. Some say Ma'i was the specific name for the island of Mindoro. Others argue it was a general name for the whole cluster of trading ports in the area, including Mindoro, Luzon, and Manila itself. But the Chinese had another name, a specific name, for the big island in the north. They called it Luzon. And this is my favorite aha moment of the entire story. Where did the name Luzon come from? It's not a Chinese word. It is the Chinese phonetic spelling of the local Tagalog word lusong. A lusong is a giant wooden mortar used to pound rice. You heard me. The name for the entire massive island of Luzon, the one used by Chinese traders, literally means rice pounder. Can you just imagine it? A Chinese trader asks a local, "What do you call this place?" And the local, who's maybe just pounding rice, says, "Oh, this? It's a lusong." And the name just stuck. It's so perfect. So let's look at the scoreboard. We've got San Lazaro, we've got Ma'i, we've got Lusong, aka rice pounder, we've got Cesarea Caroli, and we've got Las Felipinas for just Leyte and Samar. So how did Las Felipinas, a name for two islands given by a failed expedition in honor of a prince, conquer all the others? The name Las Felipinas, it almost died with the Villalobos, who died in a Portuguese prison. The name won because of the next guy, the guy who succeeded, Miguel López de Legazpi. Legazpi arrived in 1565, and his expedition was the one that established the first permanent Spanish colony. This was the real start of 333 years of Spanish rule. And as Legazpi and the Spanish crown started to build their colony, as they started to unify these thousands of islands and hundreds of barangays under one government, they needed one name for the whole territory. They couldn't call it San Lazaro, that was Magellan's. They couldn't call it Ma'i or Lusong. Those were local or Chinese. But Las Felipinas, that was perfect. By this time, Prince Philip was King Philip II. So Legazpi and the Spanish administration made a decision. They expanded the definition of Las Islas Felipinas from just Leyte and Samar to cover the entire archipelago. And that is the origin story. The name the Philippines is the ultimate and most lasting symbol of the colonial collision. It is a foreign name given by a foreign explorer in honor of a foreign king who never saw the islands, that was officially spread by a colonial power to unify their new territory. And that name stuck. It survived the end of Spanish rule. When the Americans took over in 1898, they called their new territory the Philippine Islands. And when independence finally came, the new nation became the Republic of the Philippines. The lesson here is incredible. The name Philippines isn't an indigenous name like Ma'i or Luzon. It is a colonial name. But over hundreds of years of shared history, of revolution, of struggle, and of building a national identity, the Filipino people took that colonial name and made it their own. They transformed it from a symbol of a foreign king to the name of a proud, independent, and resilient nation. And just like the name, the other great symbol of the nation, the flag, also tells a story of collisions and revolutions and a secret, hidden meaning that's unique in the entire world. That's next time on the origin of the national symbols. And there you have it, the name Philippines, a tribute to a Spanish king that started as the name for just 2 islands. What part of that story blew your mind? Was it that Magellan first named it St. Lazarus's Islands? Or my favorite, that the Chinese name for Luzon, Liu Sung, just means giant rice pounder? Let me know your favorite lost name down in the comments. This was part 6. If you like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss part 7, the origin of the flag and anthem. Trust me, the flag has a secret that you won't believe. Thanks for watching.